Our next topic is technology and standardization and how technology is impacting standardization. So in BPO, to unlock the value of BPO, obviously standardization is key. And almost all processes that are good candidates for BPO rely pretty heavily on technology. So share with us a little bit about Wipro's approach in your BPO practice to technology for the purposes of standardization.
So technology is core to what we are doing. We are a technology company. I spent 20 of my 21 years on the technology side, so I'm relatively new to BPO. We've been investing heavily on the technology front for BPO processes.
When you say invest heavily, what does that mean? What's your R&D budget?
So we're looking at, I have at this point of time something like 400 people working on building tools, platforms that support BPO operations. They cut across various processes, they cut across various segments, and they cut across transition, they cut across operations, they cut across analytics. So we're looking at end-to-end from an operations perspective. Now, to go back to your earlier question, we have three different approaches, if I may broadly classify. You have a set of customers who don't want to infuse heavy technology, at least in the beginning of the engagement. So we go through what we call a point solution approach. We understand customer, we understand customer's process. We try to understand, how easily can we embed some technology into it, drive some efficiencies. To give you an example, we work with a very large financial services company on the trade settlement side. Obviously, they don't want heavy infusion of technology, but they do want 15% year-on-year efficiency. So what do you do? So we obviously went through a round of process improvement, so that can get you only so far. It's the 6th year of engagement. So we've now embedded simple point solutions, simple technologies to give that sort of improvements. On the other hand, you build this broad tool that sits between the operations and the ERP systems. And we built a platform that manages the end-to-end operations shop floor.
So to clarify then, the technology that you're using for standardization is not, if you will, the work that is within the ERP. It's stuff that sits on top of that? Is that right?
Yes. So it sits on top of that. It integrates to ERP in a very light, easy manner. One of the concerns, earlier speakers mentioned this, one of the concerns from the customer is how difficult is it to integrate this operation shop floor technology back into our back-end system. So we built a tool based on various feedback from customers that's easy to integrate, sits on top of whatever they're using, drives efficiency, drives value, drives productivity.
Is this something you charge for? Is this, 400 people, that's a significant cost to carry. Is this a cost you build into the deal? Is it something you're just using as an assumption when you build a business case and a proposal that you're going to invest in these technology tools for your clients?
So the investment is from our side. It's not charged separately except for maybe a little bit of integration. It's part of the overall cost structure. Most customers do expect savings, like it was stated before. So using technology, they expect better savings. But it's not purely about cost, right? It's about visibility. It's about compliance. It's about transparency. And many of the large customers have multitudes of back-end systems. Now, how do you bring them all in one operational shop floor and still provide them visibility across the globe? I think that's the other thing that we try to enable through technology.
Was this approach of really focusing on the workflow and, if you will, the front-end technology standardization, was that the result of some painful lessons in trying to work with clients to actually put technology for standardization into their core ERPs?
We've now been doing it for about 4 years. Obviously, there have been huge learnings that have come out of it.
Oh, I want to hear about some of those.
So let me step back a little. So the learnings, what we're doing is incorporating learnings back into this tool. So I think what we're trying to do is to bring more consistency, less people dependency back into this. And I'll give you an example. One of the challenge with all transition is how much SME time is required from the customer. There's always a debate of during transition, how much SME time, who's spending more time. So we're trying to reduce, through our various learnings over a period of time, we have now built into the platform an ability to reduce dependency on the customer's SMEs.
So technology and standardization are both somewhat experimental sorts of efforts. Tell me about your most spectacular failure in terms of an attempt to drive technology in with a client that didn't work out, and how that contributed to your strategy that you're following today. In industries that are heavily regulated, that are very verticalized from a process perspective, that has data security issues, we've seen that it's more difficult to embed technology as opposed to more horizontal processes. So we are now more careful about how we communicate, how we embed technologies in engagements that have more regulatory requirement, more data security requirements. So that's where the point solution approach is being more effective than a full-blown platform. So we hear a lot about BPO providers wanting to build multi-client or industry-based platforms to drive standardization. Are you finding that clients that are in the same industry have any real interest in having their data in the same system as their competitor?
In it varies from process to process. There are processes that are been traditionally outsourced where the customer feels much more comfortable outsourcing. There are few processes we've seen that the customer is fairly comfortable outsourcing. These are few, but there are more discussions. I do believe if you're sitting here 5 years later, we'll probably have more number of processes where customer will be more comfortable sharing a platform, sharing some data. But
so
we have an
you're seeing a shift then. The clients are becoming more comfortable over time sharing a platform even with their competitors?
Yeah, in some areas. But I think what we have an option or an alternative now is to create private utilities that can be very separate. The data can be separated out, the system can be separated out, the security systems can be separated out, and we can run it as a utility, but only for the customer. That possibility exists today.
Excellent. All right, well, thank you, Manoj. Much appreciated.
Thank you.